Chapter 10. Lucy's point of view. We've been doing easy missions just after we finished our survival test. I want some real action, to be honest, like how Naruto would want. After capturing a lost cat, Naruto argued the G-san about not having high-level missions. G-san had enough of his complaints and gave us a sea-level mission. Your mission will be protecting Tazuna from any danger. He is heading to the land of waves to complete his bridge, G-san says sternly. Hi, we all said in unison. All these midgets will be protecting me? Might as well kill me right now, Tazuna says. Say that again. I tried to say, but was cut off by Naruto. Midget? Who you calling midget, old man? He yells angrily. In an instant, we all lined up together to compare our height. The shortest one was me, and Naruto. Why you? Me and Naruto yell, but we're held down by Sasuke and Sakura. Calm down, Lucy. Sasuke whispers quietly just for me to hear. I breathe in and out normally as I try to calm myself. Naruto gradually calms down from a hug from Sakura when she held him down. I won't let my anger get to me, I quietly say to myself. Anyway, let me tell you something, and make sure you understand. We will protect you, but we would also want some respect so we can work together just fine, I said with no emotion. Fine by me, he says. We will meet at the front gate in 30 minutes, Sensei says as he poofs away. I'll see you guys later, I say as I flashed my way out. I was in my apartment picking up my weapons and some clothes when I heard someone knocking on my door. I looked into my door's peephole and saw Naruto with his backpack ready. When I opened the door, I was greeted by Naruto with a huge grin. Kinda reminds me of Natsu. Ready to go, Lucy? He says. Not yet. Come inside and get yourself a drink, Naruto. I say to him. Thank you, Lucy, Naruto replied. As Naruto came in, he looked around and seemed amused at my surroundings. Then he stopped at the lacrima and seemed very confused as he asked, Lucy, what's this? Ah, do you like it? It's called a lacrima, and it can be used for communications or to look for places that are far. I replied, pointing out to it. Say, Lucy, can I have it? He asked with shimmering eyes. Well, of course you can, Naruto, I replied with a warm smile. He got excited and tried to pick it up. However, you should really be careful with it. It's a very special item to me. I say to him, causing him to go gentle. I'll take good care of it, believe me. He replied while his right thumb was up. I smiled as I go back to packing my stuff. I finished after a while, ending up with some pairs of ninja clothes and regular home clothes. I escorted Naruto from inside the house to outside the house. After walking along the alley for a few minutes, Naruto asked me if I lived alone in such a delicacy place. I replied with an easy answer. Well, I don't have anybody to look after me, so it's inevitable for me to live alone. He was quiet after that. Maybe I should have said that in a better way. We finally got there, and since I started to talk about our mission, which I didn't listen to it too much. I just hope I get to have a peaceful journey with no interference. I brought a small lacrima with me just in case anything happens. Well, for now, I'll enjoy this peaceful walk. After a while of walking, I saw something that caught my eye. A puddle. It hasn't rained for the past few days. Something's not right. Why would a drunken old guy like him need protection just to go to the land of waves? I'll just stand by for now and watch if something happens. While I was trying to look around for suspiciousness, Naruto was trying to impress Sakura. Those two are always so lively, I muttered quietly under my breath as I softly giggled. I then stole a glance over to Sasuke. He was busy minding his own business. Suddenly, he looked towards me, and we ended up looking at each other for a while. So then, we both looked away from embarrassment. I walked later than everyone. Then I suddenly heard a quiet sound that only I could hear. However, Naruto also heard that, and he immediately threw his kunai at it. Good reflexes, Naruto. Maybe his senses are stronger than mine. He may be stronger than me, but that doesn't mean it will let me down, because it will only make me stronger. All of us went to where Naruto hit, and a white rabbit was laying on the ground a little hurt, but not bleeding. Maybe it got hurt from shock and tried to run away, but got hurt trying to. Maybe it got hurt from shock and tried to run away, but got hurt trying to. Wait, it's a white rabbit. There shouldn't be one since it isn't even close to winter. Sensei? I mumbled, giving him a sign, but he already knew. He gave me the eye for a sign. Oh, I see. Suddenly, 2 guys showed up and tried to harm the old man. But I pushed them off, sending them flying a little further from us. Suddenly, they came out to me so fast for revenge and sent me flying, hitting my body at the tree. I lay hard on the ground, groaning from the pain. As Naruto and Sasuke got bitter from what happened, Naruto tried the charge, but got hit by their poisoned knife. My eyes widened as my brother got hurt. I then tried to stand up, but Naruto ran up to me, stopping me from going any further. Sakura was in front of the old man, protecting him from the enemy. Sasuke had enough, and decided to charge them with hate, and successfully beat those 2 by pinning them with his kunai to the tree, and killed them off. I was still hurt from that attack, but didn't let it show. But Naruto got hurt. I didn't protect him enough. Naruto! There's poison on your wound! Sakura yelled as Naruto panicked. Calm down, Naruto. Sakura sucked out the poison and cleaned it out warily. Okay, she replied. Suddenly, Naruto stabbed his wound. He bled more, but the poison was flowing with it. I widened my eyes, but softened them after he said, "This wound is nothing. With this blood, I promise that I will get stronger and protect all of you." I suddenly fell to the ground, laying unconsciously and hurt. Everyone's eyes widened like they had seen a horror movie. Sasuke then picked Lucy up in a bridal style and asked in a serious tone to where they can rest for a little while, as he walked forward with a dark aura leaving behind him. Chapter 11. Blood drips on the side of a blonde-haired girl as she was holding onto her wound, stopping it from bleeding out more. Sasuke's point of view. I should have protected Lucy from those bastards. I need to get stronger. But how? Being so powerless got Lucy hurt, and my clan perished before my eyes. I will get stronger, no matter what cost. It's been at least 2 days since that fight, and Lucy hasn't woken up. Sensei trained that dimwit Sakura and me how to walk in trees. Sakura immediately got to the top as we lack ourselves going up. Getting stronger and protect Lucy, I whispered to myself. Lucy's point of view. I fluttered my eyes as they opened with a slight wince from the bright light shining through the windows. I got up as I asked myself, where am I? You're inside the house of that old man. A familiar voice spoke. I turned my head to my right as he sat there next to me peeling off apples. Hey, Sasuke. I spoke with a raspy voice as if I hadn't spoken in a while. You know you've been sleeping for at least 5 days. You got everyone worried. He says while peeling the last skin as he offers it to me hesitantly. I took the apple as I looked at it with my head down. As I spoke, I'm sorry. I took a bite as tears slightly ran down my warm cheeks. Again, I spoke in a broken voice. I brought everyone down. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you all. Sasuke then hugged me, which got me surprised. I should be the one who's apologizing. You haven't done anything wrong. You were only protecting us. So please don't cry. He whispers to my ears. I hugged him back and cried out as I let out whimpered sobs. After a while, it was such an emotional moment we had. Sasuke had left the room a few minutes ago, leaving me alone looking at the grassy ground. The wind whistles as my long blonde hair flies to my side. I then closed my eyes and concentrated on the peaceful surroundings around me. I need to train, I said. I got up afterwards, walking towards the door that looks like it'll lead to the washroom, and then opened it lightly. I took out my nightdress and threw it to the side as I went inside the tub of herbal water. I walked out of the washroom while my body was covered by a towel and holding another towel for my hair. I went over to my bag and took out my set of clothes for today. It was a black crop top with the shirt of a fishnet over it, black leggings, and a pair of tight sandals I bought from the market. Some of the clothing here doesn't have my kind of taste, so sometimes I would have to tell Virgo to send me some from the celestial world. Besides, The styles I would have my eyes on are extremely expensive. But anyways, I walked down the stairs and saw that everyone was at the table, so I went over. I then took a seat next to Naruto. A pretty lady came out of the kitchen holding bowls of food. She smiled at me, and I smiled back. "You finally woke up. I hope you'll like my cooking," she says as she puts down a bowl of rice and a bowl of soup with a pair of chopsticks in front of me. "Oh, yes. Thank you," I said. We then ate our meal while the lady who smiled at me was talking to us. "Oh, Lucy, let me introduce you to my family," the old man said. I looked around and my eyes landed on the lady and a kid. He then started talking. "That pretty lady right there," he says as he pointed out, "is my daughter Tsunami. And that's my grandson, Inari," he said. "Nice to meet you, Tsunami and Inari," I said with a smile. "Nice to meet you too, Lucy." While Inari looked at me, he then looked away with hate and sadness. He then started to walk upstairs, leaving me to ask his mother what's wrong. After the explanation, "Oh, would you mind if I go talk to him?" I asked. "Oh no, go ahead," Tsunami said. After the talk we had, I trained secretly with Sensei for the past few days and acquired a new technique. Still Lucy's point of view. "Oh, Lucy, you missed something huge while you were out," Sakura whispered to my ear. "What was it, Sakura?" I whispered back. "There was this man that had white bandages around half of his face with a huge sword with a hole, and he started to attack. Oh, and he was also an S-class rogue. But then he was killed by an assassin and was taken back. Well, since you were out, Sasuke made sure you were safe, so he left you in a hut," she replied. "I missed all that!" I yelled in frustration. We were all riding on a small boat to the bridge for Tazuna's safety, and we were supposedly real quiet not to be spotted by Gato's men. Sasuke and Sakura grabbed me and dropped me down to make me quiet. Footsteps were heard on the bridge as I immediately did a jutsu. I did the signs and said, "Bubble prison." A bubble was formed and made as we went underwater. What was great about it is that we can breathe, but it can only last for a few minutes since it's still in progress. Everyone was surprised of what I did, especially Sasuke. His eyes were huge. We hit the surface after I couldn't handle it any longer. Everyone was filled with questions though. Tazuna was too busy thinking of other things. We finally landed on land and started to help Tazuna build the bridge. After a while of working secretly, a man and another man with a feminine face came to exterminate us? Chapter 12. Lucy's point of view. I could read the atmosphere around us, and so the masked man spoke with his raspy voice. "Oh, what do we have here? A new kid. How do you do?" "What brings you here?" I asked, ignoring his question. "Give us the man, and we will let you all go. Unless you want the harder way," he demanded. "We would never let you take him!" Sakura yelled to him, which got him mad. She whispered to me, "Be careful, Lucy. He's dangerous." I nodded. "And for that, you are our enemy. So as far as that, we have no choice but to fight you," I yelled as I took a stance. The man behind him disappeared and showed up behind me. But before he could reach to me, my reflexes were quite fast, so I moved forward towards Sasuke. Sakura was in front of Tazuna. Sensei was off to fight the masked man, and Sasuke grabbed my hand, leading me somewhere rather quiet. Because of the thick fog, I could barely see anything else other than Sasuke. So this is what I know at this time. Apparently, we are trapped inside Haku's mirrors. His specialties are water and ice, so we need to get quickly out of here. Though, here's the catch. I too am good at water manipulation. "Haku was your name, right?" I asked, trying to make a decent conversation. He nodded. "Well, nice to meet you. I'm Lucy." I smiled at him. He didn't move. Even though he was throwing sharp crystal knives at us, I could see his hidden emotions behind his mask. Naruto and Sasuke were planning a strategy, while I was just thinking of a way to help out Haku. I was dodging all his attacks while I undo his jutsu. All I have been doing was saving up my energy to make a special spell. I signaled Sasuke and Naruto to distract him so I have time to produce it. I created a new jutsu, and it wasn't ready to use just yet, but I had to use it. I made a few signs and quietly said, "Mist," and it formed, followed by water mold. A water tentacle was made and grabbed Sasuke and Naruto. And finally, ice trap. It formed around us to lock us up for now. I was panting as if the jutsu took a large amount of energy. I fall back down. Sasuke and Naruto came running towards me. "Are you okay, Lucy?" they both yelled. "I'm all right. I'm not done yet," I insisted. They were restless. I formed another sign. Ice spears. It formed outside the wall and hit the mirrors. Nothing changed. The mirrors were still intact. I looked back and mouthed Sasuke, "Your turn." And I finally fell down, unconscious. Everything disappeared. Sasuke's point of view. She did it again. Put herself in line. She risked her life again to save our worthless lives. Why? I looked at her determined face, and she looked at mine. She mouthed, "Your turn," right after she fell back. I caught her body right before it hit the ground. I looked up and saw that bastard's emotionless face. Just like my older brother's. I hate that face. I put down Lucy gently and faced him. The storyline will pretty much be the same. Sasuke being paralyzed from the needles, and the awakening of Naruto's demon. Now, to get back with this story, it will be before Kakashi slashed through Haku's body. Lucy's point of view. I opened my eyes. My body was sore, but I had to wake up. I can't just lay down here and let my teammates do everything. I have to fight. I stood up. My legs wobbled, but I still had strength. I looked around and saw that Haku's mirrors were gone. In the corners of my eyes, I saw him appear in front of Sensei. My eyes widened. I flashed now just to get to him. I didn't want him to die. I wanted to save him, but I failed to do so. Sensei's lightning hands slashed into his heart. "No!" I yelled. Sensei and Mochi looked towards me. They had no emotions. I hated that. He just died, and no one cares. I cried and charged, not only to Mochi, but my own sensei. "He didn't have to die," I yelled. "I could have saved him," I continued. They blocked all my attacks. Sensei recklessly took my glow. His hands bled from my sword. I stopped and backed down. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to help him," I said, crying. Suddenly, all of Gato's men, including himself, were standing in front of us. "I knew that you couldn't handle them, so we came here to kill you all," Gato yelled. Mochi stepped in. I could see that he really did care. I could see the reflection of blood in his eyes. I smiled. "So I really wasn't the only one," I whispered. He went through the crowds and was stabbed with multiple swords. It was like he was getting his punishment. Punishment from not stopping Haku's death. He took off his bandages around his face. I could see his sharpened teeth. He then killed everyone in the crowd. It wasn't because he wanted to kill them for fun. It was because he had enough of everything. After it all, he dropped down, but he was still crawling to where Haku's body was. I had enough of watching, so I walked to him and I carried him to where Haku was. He whispered something to my ears. "Take my sword." Time skip. We were now looking at their graves. I took his sword as I promised. I lay it down to his grave and went down to my knees. "Thank you for everything," I said to them. I took the sword and left. We all went back to Tazuna's cottage. We all bid our farewells, and that Ji-san named the bridge after Naruto, the Great Naruto Bridge. I don't know what he did, but I'm proud. We all left with silence.